Hi, it's Jen with Pint Size Table Runner for December. My favorite time of the year is here. Warm sweaters. It is cold outside. I just love being indoors with family and friends to enjoy the holiday season. I could not resist making this really fun with an exciting embellishment you can do with your family. We're going to give you a close-up of the Christmas tree. We were able to secure some beautiful glass rhinestones. They're called hot fixed crystals. You don't need any special equipment to put those onto the project. They're completely optional. They'll be included in your kit if you want to embellish your Christmas tree. I just could not resist adding the sparkly lights. And I'm like, how do I do that? I didn't want to add tiny applique. That was just impossible to stitch around. And I love that the rhinestones just catch the light depending on the angle you're seeing the project at. So we will jump into the applique after we talk about the piecing. Very straightforward. I'll give you a couple options. Let's just look at the blocks. We've got Santa, we've got Christmas cookies, we have Christmas trees and snowflakes, all the things that really just make Christmas what Christmas is. So as we look at our block, we can see we have a center square, easy peasy, and then out here, these are just half square triangles. If you've seen the tutorials throughout this series, you're like, yeah, you've done this before. But perhaps you're joining us for the first time. Welcome. Pint Size Table Runner was kicked off way back in January of this year with the February project, and I cannot even believe it's December already that the project we're focusing on. Of course, we always introduce this to you in the month before, so you have plenty of time to make it. But if you're watching this in December, grab that kit. Obviously, it's exciting to always be planning for Christmas the year ahead. So looking at the project, half square triangles. What makes this one different, and what something Bethany pointed out to me, and I want to share with you, is the fact that the Christmas tree fabric that I used in the blocks, both in the green and the red, is directional. Now, if you don't care that some of the trees are going up, straight up, and some may be going sideways, then what I'm about to say doesn't really matter. You're just going to make the half square triangles and you just create them. But if you want the trees to be all upright, and we'll get a close-up of that here, if you want that to be true of the blocks here, and then if you're facing the project from that side, of course, they're upright from that side, again, where that block is made with the trees upright, then this is what I want to emphasize for you. To make the 2-inch finished half square triangles, if you're going to take a traditional approach, and I'm going to give you an option that I think a lot of you might want to take, it's easier and you don't have to worry about the directional component of the fabric. It will just work out for you. You can see that ultimately we need 8 half square triangles. One sheet of the 2-inch star singles will produce those 8-inch half square triangles perfectly oriented for you, and you don't need to worry about that. That will automatically give you what we're about to speak about. However, if you're like, I don't really like using star singles, I don't want to sew on paper or buy another component, then what you will do with the fabric in your kit, obviously this is a kit, backing is included, or you can download the pattern free for a very limited time and use your own fabrics. And then of course, if you want to embellish, just go find maybe your rhinestones at Joann's or Michael's or wherever you might want to find them. The kit's obviously a wonderful value. We are including those rhinestones. We are not upcharging the cost of this kit. We're just taking care of that for you. And you can see these beautiful rhinestones. They're so pretty. It's going to take our staff quite a while to package those, but again, it's our gift to you for this particular month. We love to give more than even to get, so those will be included. Jumping back into this, however, if you are using our kit with these fabrics for the half square triangles, notice how when we drew using our seam guide, notice how we made those in opposite directions. Looking at this fabric, I want you to see that. The Christmas tree is right side up and the Christmas tree is right side up. I don't know if you can see that from the top. So I wanted to point that out. It's very important if you're going to take the traditional approach of making half square triangles that you orient your Christmas trees straight up and down. And then you are doing these in opposite directions, either drawing the line, sewing the 1/4 inch on either side, or using the seam guide, corner to corner and drawing, and then doing in the opposite direction. Let me just go sew that. I want you to, I love being able to just sew on a line versus having to find a 1/4 inch and hoping I hit it. Okay, and let's just cut that apart. Now what we've done, we like to slightly oversize our half square triangles if we take our traditional approach so that we have an opportunity to square up. If you make these with star singles, you do not need to square up. They will give you perfect, unfinished 2.5 inch half square triangles going right into the project. So it not only takes care of this orientation thing because I chose a directional fabric for the design, but you're not going to be doing the square up feature or the process that I'm about to show you. So let's make sure throughout that we are going to press to the dark every single time. That's going to be helpful for giving us some interlocking seams, which we'll be looking for, helping us to hit those points as expected. But I wanted to show you kind of my favorite tool for squaring up. Since we are going for 2.5, I like to use the Creative Grid 2.5, and of course we have that nice line. You'll want to position this Creative Grid 2.5 so that you have the opportunity to square up on all 4 sides. Do not set that in that corner and just square up 2 sides. It's best practice to set that so that all 4 sides have a chance at getting that fresh cut. And obviously you can see that the spinning mat makes this absolutely perfect combination so that I don't have to lift up the fabric or the ruler. I simply rotate the fabric around till I'm in a safe and productive cutting kind of position, and then I can get that perfect 2.5 inch. And of course, that's what you want. That is how, when I don't square up and I kind of just hope I nail it, and then I'm going into a block, those are the blocks that are 12.5 inch-ish. But every time that I get to square up, and that component is 2.5 going into this, and the next one's 2.5, those blocks almost every time are coming out at 12.5, especially when I'm using the assistance of diagonal seam tape, a seam guide to hold true to that 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once you've prepared all of those, you'll want to make sure that you're laying this out so that those are right side up. Again, if that's important to you. If you don't care, you can just place those green and the cream together, right side together, and what it yields is what it yields. That's fine. You'll lay everything out and sew those together in rows, and I've just prepared that just to save us a little time because I want to focus actually a lot on how to embellish with hot fixed crystals. It's so much fun. It's great to do with your family. Your kids can get involved, grandkids can get involved, maybe they can decorate the tree. Obviously, once they've selected that, you're the one controlling the iron, but they got to feel involved in the project, and I love that when we can make that happen. Lay everything out. We sew those together in rows. And you can see we press toward the middle because this is just a square here. And for that reason, we press the top and bottom row both to the outside. Once we have this, of course, placing right sides together, this is giving us that nice interlocking seam. We pin every time. If you're like, okay, I need that point to come together, that's where you pin first. That's why we don't just pin left to right. We pin those places that are the most important to us and then pin those other areas later. We make that fit if for any reason it's not fitting exactly. But again, if you have oversized and squared up, or you've used the 2.5 or the 2 inch star singles, by the way, 2 inch star singles, because star singles are built on finished sizes. These were 2.5 inch, finishing at 2. Star Singles always is built around the finished size, and I'll show you about the Star Singles. Of course, you're going to be sewing that, and then the bottom row, and that's how we do the pressing right there. Star Singles, just to bring that out real quick, you've seen me do this. Star Single paper, different sizes. You will be needing the 2 inch if you decide to take this approach. Fabrics are right side together. We like to cut the paper or the fabrics just a little bit bigger than what's stated on here so that we can definitely see the fabric all the way around the perimeter. Shorten the stitch length. You're stitching on all the dashed lines. The solid line is where you will stop with needle down and pivot, moving in the new direction, stop, coming all the way around. Once you're here, everything's sewn down. Now you will cut on the solid lines. Remember how I said, when you use Star Singles, that squaring up process that you saw me do with the 2.5 inch creative grid ruler and the spinning mat becomes unnecessary. This negates the need for that because these come out to be the exact size that you need. You want to be very precise about cutting exactly on the solid lines because what you cut is what you're going to get. That is going to be your half square triangle going into the project. Fold the paper back, tear away. That's one of the reasons we like to shorten the stitch length. It not only adds more stability by adding more thread to the half square triangle, but as you remove that paper, you're not destabilizing that. So if there was ever a time to have a shortened stitch length, you definitely want to do that. I sew on about a 1.5 on that. Again, we're going to press toward the dark. We will trim off those dog ears, and we're going to just take a measurement check. And you're going to see that these are just absolutely on the money. When I make half square triangles or pinwheels, where are my Star Singles? It is just what I do. And you can see, obviously, it saves us some time, increases accuracy. And I love that with just one sheet, 2 fabrics, one of your, in this case, here and here will produce 8 half square triangles and very quickly. I love that because there's so many other projects I want to sew. You will assemble, of course, your 4 blocks. These have one group of fabrics. We've got, of course, the red trees, green here. I could not resist adding the sashing. I've kind of done that mostly throughout the program. A few times I didn't. With the cornerstone here in the middle. That's part of your binding, by the way. So you'll, of course, cut those binding strips, have those ready to go, but you'll have just a tiny little 1 inch square here that you'll be adding here for your sashing. Of course, always pressing toward the sashing. And then you've got your center ready to go. Applique is the part I'm so excited about with you because we have added a fun dimension to that. So this is what this will look like. And by the way, we would only, of course, apply those hot fix rhinestones after everything is quilted. However, I want to go over that. I want you to see me do that. There are these jewel setters. They're fun to use, but not necessary. So I want to give you that approach and let you know if you don't need to feel like you need to go run out and get one of those. I'm going to show you how to do that without it. So of course you have your background fabric and all of your pre-fused laser cut applique. Again, if you're just watching this for the first time, normally when you are getting your, if you're doing this on your own, which again, this is available as a free download for a limited time. If you do download this would be in 2 separate pieces. Align those, tape that together, and there will be a reverse fusible applique for you to be able to do that. But you can see these shapes are quite symmetrical, not as critical on something that is symmetrical. But in this case, everything is on one page, but just the ability to have this already cut out for you, I love that. You can skip the tracing, skip the cutting, and jump straight into the fun. This is where the applique mat, the light box, come into play. I'm just going to get a little bit of room, and we put that aside. here. I cannot believe that next month is our final month in this series. I feel like time is, I don't know if I'm just getting older or time's moving faster, but something's happening where it's like, I can't even believe I'm talking about Christmas when I feel like we just had Christmas. So let's move this out of the way entirely. One of the things about the wafer light box, this is the wafer one. If you've been watching this series, you know all about this. Obviously, our desire is to bring things to the background as assembled units. This would be a unit, this would be a unit, and this would be a unit, just like this, right? This started off as 4 separate pieces, but with the combination of the light box, the assembly diagram would come next. We'll turn our light on, and then the applique mat. The applique mat comes in many sizes. This is the smaller one and all that you need for this series. You don't need anything bigger than that. What we'll go ahead and do is actually assemble a candy cane, a bow, and then the candy cane, and we're going to put everything together, and then we're going to decorate our Christmas tree. So let me just show you real quick again. If this is your first time, I'll just move this off so it's easier for you to see. Numbered pieces mean that's the piece that would go down first. Dash lines are meaning this piece lies behind. So looking at the Christmas tree, the stump, of course, goes down first, followed by 2, 3, and 4. Very logical. So that's that unit there. With the bow over here on this side, if you want to just assemble this unit, you're like, okay, I recognize the candy cane is back there. But notice we decided to make the bow separately. So you're just going to say, okay, if I'm going to make just the bow, piece 6 goes down by 7, 8, and 9, and I'm going to fuse those together. And then later on in final assembly, all of this will come together. Let's make a bow together, understanding our layering before we even start covering anything up, that this part will be going down first here, followed by the interior portion of the bow, the top, and then the kind of the knot of that will be last. All right. Let's just demonstrate that again, just in case this is your first time of finding a Shabby video. The applique mat has a tackiness to it and is really why it's one of my absolute favorites. I can push this down and it helps it just stay in place so that I can now move on and things aren't shifting as I begin to build this picture. That, and then that knot, I can see just the top curvature of that. Sometimes using a pair of scissors, this is I think the Easy Peasy Tweezers, it's kind of a fun name to say, are a nice extra pair of hands, and we will definitely be using these as we embellish our Christmas tree. Just remember that anytime you are doing fusible, you need to bring the heat down on your machine, and you need to move, on your iron I should say, and you need to move the project off of the light box. You cannot iron onto that light box. That is not a glass surface and it's not heat resistant. So we'll iron all of that down, and we're going to give that a chance to cool and merge into one. And I'm just going to set that off to the side. For now, what I'll do while that's cooling, I'm just going to iron this down to the top. Look at this. Oh, by the way, some people struggle with this. I just assume everyone knows this. Some people just try to start kind of digging at this, and you can start fraying. Don't be shy about pushing that right back, just like that. And you see how that released? Let me show you again. Push that back anywhere. And now it will release, and it's going to be a lot simpler for you to remove this. If you are enjoying the laser cut component of this, we have so many other projects. If you go to our website, you can click on kits by type and click on laser kits. And of course, you will have a wonderful choices. And then if you've just been loving the series, of course, go back and get those kits. Some of them are obviously very low in inventory. If you're wanting to complete your series and be able to have something to make and decorate that fits the same size table all throughout the year, which is really nice. Like once you find that perfect table, you're like, perfect, I want to have something there every month. Pick up those kits and the thread sets. I do see more and more people grabbing those. Inventory is getting low, especially on those earlier months that we first introduced that. Okay, we've ironed all of that down. And of course, you know, we have a thread set available every month. Either pick that up, that's what we use to stitch everything down, or use some thread from home as you prefer. So this will be placed here. And then down go just the shapes. I'm going to show you what my vantage point looks like without the light box. I can see it. I'm working a little bit more, but with the light box on, it's just like, oh, it's lovely. Especially helpful when you're working with a darker background where it's very difficult to see. It adds that necessary illumination so you aren't straining your eyes. So we'll place everything down. The stump of the tree will go right into that seam allowance. I want to point that out right here. So you're not going to have that up. It'll go right into the seam allowance, so that's nice as well. This now has cooled down. And this is the magic of the applique mat. There's zero residue here. And now those four shapes have become one. I place this into position. I can turn that off. I am just even going to move that out of our way for just a moment and kind of bring that front and center because we will soon be embellishing. I'm just going to set that upright for the moment. This is the Oliso iron. We have it, I think, in 4 colors. I'm enjoying it because I don't have to do this action that I just did of tilting it up. So many cool features on this. I think it has like a 20-minute timer. So if you don't not using it, it'll shut off. A lot of irons are a lot faster than that where they're auto shutting off and I'm like, don't shut off. I'm trying to piece something together. I love that it kind of has that extended time that it's staying hot, giving me a chance to get things pieced together, and then I'm back using the iron. A nice long cord as well, and it has a swivel feature. Let me just push that down right here as well. So if you're thinking about an iron, maybe you're wanting something for Christmas, that could be one to consider checking out. I definitely use the Panasonic. Its features are, it's cordless. I'm not dealing with a cord. But I am, of course, having to keep putting that in the cradle. Just wanted to mention that. You might not have seen me using the Oliso very often, but it is a great option for you. And again, I'm just going to set that up because I want to now be, there we go, and let's just move that out of the way. Let's talk about these rhinestones. You'll be getting a little bag of rhinestones in a variety of colors. I found it difficult to grab them with my fingers. Again, these are the Easy Tweezy. I think Easy Tweezy, I can't remember the name of these. They're a gypsy quilter product. They have the safety tip. I'd recommend you store them this way. These are extremely sharp. So you'll just place these where you want them, about 9 to 10 per tree. You can place them. This is where it's fun for the kiddos. If you feel that obviously you're there monitoring that, maybe you've got a pair of tweezers at home, that would work, to let the little ones help you, or maybe they're pointing to where they should go. I just think it's fun to be able to decorate this tree. Once you're happy with your decorations on your tree, you want to be doing this over top of an ironing board or some kind of a pressing mat. Once you're happy with that, I just grab a white piece of fabric, anything will do, and I just gently go straight down. I bring the iron up to full hot, and I've been on the medium setting, but I think if I hold it long enough, it will work. And we're just going straight down. And I hold it there for like 10 seconds. With a jewel setter, I've seen these, I can't remember the names of these. You're putting one rhinestone down at a time. They work, obviously, and if you've got one, that's wonderful. This gets it all done at the same time. And of course, if you end up washing this later, be, of course, very gentle, hand wash that. And let's look and see what we've done. And they are absolutely on there. They are not coming off. I love that. There, isn't that just so fun? I love that. Again, you won't do that until you get everything quilted, bound, and then you're putting, because certainly you don't want to be handling this. Once you get it done and you do the wonderful rhinestones, if you choose to, now it's just time to display that and enjoy that. And obviously it's only out for a month and then it's put away to be brought out next year. So I couldn't resist the fun of adding some lights and glitter and glamour and fun to the Christmas tree. Thanks for giving me a few minutes of your day. I can't believe I'm already talking about the very last in the series. It is already designed and you're going to love it. So much fun going on with that one as well. Be sure to subscribe. Let your friends, maybe your Quilt Guild know. We have so much heart here to bring you projects that we want to put a smile on your face, provide you a lot of value in these kits, obviously with the pre-fused laser cut and obviously embellishment. And this one is our gift to you. Thank you again, and I will see you next month for Pint Size Table Runner in January.